Good morning, Creative. Our agenda for this morning is to introduce you to how to live a joyful life. To live a life that corresponds to you. To live a life full of clarity, here it is. And to live a life in which you finally have time for yourself. To live a life in which you don't tidy, and the next day have to tidy again, and then again, and then again, and then again. Is there any parents in the room? Okay, so that last one was especially for you guys. A life which you live in peace and gratitude. Amen. Feels like a mess. So our objective is to share with you today the fact that we truly believe that to have light in one's life, we need a bit of death first. So my name is Eliette, and this is my twin sister and also business partner, Marieke. And because I was born first, I'm going to start with my story. 1 minute. So that's a picture of me taken in my backyard garden. Oh, actually, I should say on my backyard beach. That picture was taken around January 2016 when I moved to the Bahamas. Yes, I did say move and not went on vacation. It's pretty nice, right? For me, it looked a bit like paradise. Back then, I even put the caption, "We have found a piece of heaven." Well, that was the life I was giving for 5 years. But after only 6 months, I deliberately choose to go back here. So what happened? Well, 6 months before I moved, or even before I knew I would be moving, I stumbled on Instagram. I'm a bit of an addict. I stumbled upon a book, and a book that changed both of our lives. Yes, you heard it. A book changed our life. And this book is called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it was written by a small, young Japanese woman named Marieke Staub. So, when you look at this book, don't be fooled by the soft pastel color, looks like a wash of baby blue, sort of like a late spring sky. Well, don't be fooled. And if there's any graphic designer in the room, you've noticed they use gentle lowercase type. Well, be careful. And also, that's her, if you don't know how she looks like. She looks very armless, doesn't she? But yes, don't be fooled, because this book actually is a murderer, and it killed both of us. It killed us, but then it allowed us to be reborn. And this is what we want to share with you today. So, back to the first I wanted to tell you what the book is about if you haven't read it. So the book describes a method that teaches its reader how to declutter their living space or also their working space, to sort out their belongings and keep only what sparks joy to them. So again, pretty lovey-dovey and kind of poetic, but yes, as we said, don't be fooled. It's sort of like a Japanese Shiva. You know Shiva, who's responsible for change, both in the sense in the form of death and destruction, and in the positive sense of destroying the ego. So, back to the pre-Bahamas. My partner back then was transferred there, and I used the method described in the book to prepare my move overseas. I had to drastically downsize the number of my belongings. I went from a 60-meter square apartment to just a few suitcases. So the method was perfect for that. It allowed me to let go of my belongings, my object, but also my job, my cat, and he went to my parents. The book is a murderer, I'm not. He went to my parents, he's fine. And so the cat, yes, too. and my lease. And actually, we all know that's really crazy in Geneva to let go of a lease, but I did that. And upon my arrival on the island, I thought the method's job was done. It had helped me move and start a life that looked like a postcard. Over there, I had it all. I had the beach, I had the mansion, I even had a maid. Yet, I was miserable. And I was miserable because I underestimated the effect the method would have on my life. I had no idea that going through all of my belongings would be so life-changing. Actually, the title of the book should have been a cue, but... And I actually, going through all of my belongings, I find the one thing I had been missing for a while, and that was myself and my values. Because you see, when you go through all of your belongings and ask yourself the question, does it spark joy? Well, at the end of the road, you know yourself better. So this is what the method allowed me to do. Reconnect with myself, discover how I wanted to live my life, and find out what truly matters to me. I'm sorry, I'm a bit lost in my notes. Sorry. Yes, so I'm sorry. So the method had me precisely do that. Reconnect with myself, tuned in with my surrounding, and again with my emotional state. So I looked around, and everything that I saw sparked a lot of beauty, but it did not spark joy to me. And you have to understand, and if there is just one thing we would like you to stick with after today's presentation, is that the question of what you want to own is actually the question of how you want to live your life. And also, decluttering is not only about letting go of some physical objects. It's also at the same part a letting go of a part that is you. And it's about going to a place after you're able to let go. And this place is called your home. And also at Clarity, we call it your personal heaven. And the Bahamas were not my heaven. It wasn't for me, and I was unhappy. So I decided to go back to Geneva and we created with my sister Clarity Home Detox. So now let me introduce you to my own home detox story. Understand my near-death experience. So less warm, but here's a picture of my daughter and me. Minute later, after the picture was taken, she threw out a tantrum, so I threw her in the water. That's wrong. I kept the daughter, but the tantrum really happened. That picture was taken about the time Eliette gave me the book as a present. And whenever somebody gifts you with a book with such a title, it's never really a good sign. My daughter back then was in the terrible 2 stage. My relationship was at a crossroad, and I was not okay. My daily routine consisted of tidying up my apartment. And my home looked like, well, I barely have a word to describe it. And I majored in interior architecture, so that was pretty unbelievable for me. That moment was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. And I was so unhappy. What I realized is that unhappiness isn't just the result of, isn't just the result of hormonal change you're going through when you're a mother, or career trouble, or relationship difficulties. A lot of my unhappiness was due to the burden of my things. I was literally
buried under my belongings. You've all seen on your computer that loading icon spinning on the screen for what seems like an eternity? Well, that was just me. I was up to my ears with baby toys, with objects that promise you to be the best, the greatest mother on earth, with book on motherhood, on freedom, and happiness, and blah, blah, blah. You name it, I owned them all. And I was on the verge of an imminent breakdown, or should I say, in this case, a crash. I owned too many things. My things were owning me, and it was stealing my joy. When I finally got to declutter my life, thanks to my sister present and Marieke on this book, I finally put an end to what was killing me very softly. Like we say, I took the bull by the horns and I fired the final shot. What I did is I stopped buying into the lie that more is better. And actually it's a lie that tends to be bought into by many of us. I gave light to the truly important things in my life, and those things were buried deep down underneath all my excess. The following is what Eliette and I and all of our clients are feeling, is that decluttering is like a death. And life truly only really begins once you have put your house in order. It is Pablo Picasso who said that every act of creation is first an act of destruction. And this is what we do. This is our job. We go into people's house and we help them destroy themselves in order to be happy just where they are. And if you too would like to be happy just where you are, would you like to be happy just where you are?
Yeah.
So we have an answer. And that answer is to free yourself from the monster of clutter. Clutter can be seen like a weight that has built on us, on the top of us, so gradually that we don't even realize it has buried us. Now we're going to show you a few before and after picture of how it can look like. So that, of course, before and that's after. I'm just going to go through rapidly, and at the end, if you have any question or you want to make a comment, feel free. Sort of like a meditation moment in silence.
Oh Lord.
The mother, it was a teenager room, and the mother called it the black hole, le trou noir. And it's still like that up to now. No rebound. That's a personal office at home. Again, personal office. And the last one, here. So these pictures might seem impressive to some of you, might seem not impressive to some others, but actually what truly matters to Marieke and I is how a client feels inside of himself when he's finally done. A client usually feels free, he feels light, happy, also proud and empowered when he's finally come to his own definition of what his life should be. We once worked with a client. We worked with her whole house, but what was truly her burden was the paper category, so everything that has to do with administration.
We worked on it with her, and when she was done, and when we were outside of her house, when we had left, she told us later that she was so happy that she took all the papers that she had been finally able to let go of, and instead of bringing them to the recycling bin, she brought them outside in her garden and created a huge bonfire. I think she might have also do a happy dance around the bonfire. Well, to tell you, she was really happy and relieved about what she had been able to do. We also don't really recommend it to you because it's actually forbidden in Switzerland to do a huge bonfire in your garden, so don't do it. But since this story, Marieke and I look at our clients like phoenixes that rise from the ashes of their own clutter. That's how it feels.
Our mission is to get people to realize that they are not their things, and things are not them. Maybe that rings a bell to some of you, because somebody back in 1999 was already preaching that. And to copy his word, it went like this. You are not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking car keys. I'm sorry about the word. Who has an idea? Who can guess who said that? No guess?
Bill Gates.
No, it wasn't Bill Gates. It wasn't Steve Jobs. Oh, you guys are not creative. It was, I'm sure you would have guessed. It was Brad Pitt in the movie Fight Club. Jeremy guessed.
Yeah, that was how it
So our objective, it's difficult because it dates a bit. We're not up to date, sorry. So our objective is to teach our clients that clutter is actually not what you might find, not only what you might find lying down on your floor. Clutter is not only what can fall on you when you open your cupboard and can get really dangerous. It's not only what peacefully prevents you from peacefully closing that drawers a lot of us have. Clutter can actually be anything that stands between you and the life you want to be living.
So don't be scared. We're not gonna ask you to go back home and ditch everything you have and live like a monastery priest. Although, why not? Didn't kill anybody yet so far. But decluttering is about being in the right relationship with what you own. Decluttering is about designing your own life.
And we're sorry and our apologies if some of you thought that we would come up today in front of you and give you the perfect recipe to be decluttered. A lot of us love numbers, but actually we're not going to give you any numbers. And most of our clients do ask us, so how many forks should I keep? Or if it's a woman, how many skirts should I keep? Well, we always tell them, we don't know. This is up to you to decide. It's up to you to discover your ideal number. For a woman, it might be 4 skirts. For another one, it might be 15. And for another one, it might actually be 0.
Actually, remember, we did one set to a client that his 181 socks might be a tiny bit too much. Because be aware, I and Eliette, and we all actually, we don't have a limitless capacity for taking care of stuff. We don't have that. And it's about living a life in which you can love, respect, and take care of what you own.
Marie Kondo was once asked by, and we're gonna give another reference, so I hope you're gonna know that one, so we're not. Tim Ferriss, he's the writer of a very successful book called The 4-Hour Work Week. I see Yatman nodding, thank you very much. And he asked Kondo once If she had the opportunity to write a message on a billboard of Times Square, what would her words be? And Marie Kondo answered this: love your things.
And the concept of love and gratitude is key here. We always ask at our client's place, if whenever they decide to discard something, is to have a word of gratitude for that object, because every single object, even the smallest one, is in our life to teach us a lesson.
And to go back to the theme of the month, which is death, again another reference, and it's Eckhart Tolle this time who said, death is a striping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die and find that there is no death. And we can actually change the first word death with decluttering. Decluttering is a striping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die and find that there is no death.
To end the talk of today, decluttering is a method for individuals to find what is genuinely important to them. And just like what happened to Eliette, to me, and to a client, it's like a prologue for crafting your own unique story. Just be yourself. And we hope that when you're going to go back home after this talk, after your day of work, you're just going to take a moment and look at what surrounds you. Observe and notice how you feel. Enter your home and ask yourself, do I feel cluttered? Could I live a more freer life?
And if you do that, if you go back home and do what Marieke has just told you, we really would like you to be careful, and that's our last advice for today. Really be careful of something, because danger can be anywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you.